All right. Good morning. Happy Friday to everyone. Welcome to our TAPAZ Fiscal Sponsorship 101. And my name is Juan Salas. I am the Director of Operations and Accounting here at TAPAZ. And very nice to meet you all. Yep. So I wanted to just welcome, from the TAPAZ team. Here in this slide, you can see the full TAPAZ team, including the CEO, Roy Pringle, myself, Kelsey Oden, Assistant Director, Raj Kalanchi, Senior Accountant, Sonja Perry, Grants Coordinator, on the bottom, Gina Schumacher, Office Administrator, Stephanie Gallegos, Assistant Director, Angelica Gerardo, Grants Coordinator, Cassandra Streety, Accounts Payable, and Beatriz Morales, Operations and Accounting Assistant. This is the full team that represent TAPAZ as a fiscal sponsor here in Arizona. All right. Is this my slide, girls?
I can cover it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we like to start out the Fiscal Sponsorship 101 webinars, just kind of covering the definition of fiscal sponsorship so we can do some level setting. So, by definition, it's the practice of nonprofit organizations offering their legal and tax exempt or 501(c)(3) status to other groups, which we typically call projects that are engaged in activities related to the sponsoring organization's mission. So the way I like to explain this to folks is if we're thinking about TAPAZ as the fiscal sponsor, and we're bringing in projects that are aligned with the TAPAZ mission, the projects are operating under TAPAZ's umbrella, the 501(c)(3) umbrella, utilizing TAPAZ's EIN, tax exempt status, and then the projects basically become internal programs within TAPAZ. So operating under our legal structure, TAPAZ becomes legally and fiduciarily responsible for the work of those projects. We started providing comprehensive fiscal sponsorship support in 2011. We were doing it a bit more ad hoc prior to that, but in 2011, we became a more formalized, comprehensive fiscal sponsorship program. I think something that makes us unique is that we exclusively provide fiscal sponsorship. So some entities do fiscal sponsorship and also provide their own programming, whereas we are only providing fiscal sponsorship. We support organizations, activities, projects, and strategies that strengthen community-based health services and work to advance health outcomes for Arizona's most underserved citizens. We are an affiliate of Vitalis Health Foundation, so that's where some of that alignment with the Vitalis Health Foundation mission and TAPAZ comes in, really focused on projects that are working to improve health outcomes in Arizona. TAPAZ works with sponsored projects by providing back office services like accounting, human resources, grant application assistance, and more, which allows organizations to focus on their mission, vision, programming while we handle the administrative pieces. And we will dig into more specifics about those services in the next slide. And Juan, I will turn back over to you.
Thank you, Kelsey. So here is the fiscal sponsorship services that TAPAZ actually is providing for any organization that they're seeking for assistance or services as a fiscal sponsor. Here, as you can see, these four buckets they include everything that TAPAZ offers. So regardless the type of fiscal sponsor you decide, might change a couple things here, depends on the level of support, but this is covering 100%. So in the accounting bucket, TAPAZ is going to be fully responsible for your general accounting or general layer. So that means that we are going to record and based on the principles of accounting, all your activity as an organization under our umbrella. So you are going to be covered this. And then we have the financial statements package. This is every month we are going to release any activity that happened the prior month to your organization in 4 different reports, which is the basic financial statements are a balance sheet, P&L, cash flow, and general layer. Those reports are going to be sent directly to the contacts you express to receive this, and every month. So that way you can track your accounting activity on your own. And in this area, if you need a custom report, then you just need to ask. I mean, there's a different reports that we can, run for you guys. Can give you a couple of example, maybe an aging for AR or a list of vendors you pay the last month, or any specific individual report if you have grants. So those are custom reports that you might receive if you request it, right? But the 4 basics, you are going to receive it once you start having activity with TAPAZ. Also, TAPAZ offer a budget development, in case your organization need assistance to develop a budget, then we are going to support you guys and have conversations about this, and try to put together a document that can help you to navigate during the year, and also that you can use for your board of advisories if you have, or board of directors if you have as well. So that's gonna also help you guys. That's part of our services. If you need it, you just needed to ask us to do that. We process for you guys accounts payable, so that means that we can pay your contractors or vendors services that you might have in your operations. And we can also do billing for you guys in case you need to send an invoice to a potential client or potential service that you wanted to provide as an organization. We also bill that. We cover the payments with checks, ACH or EFTs only. We don't pay in cash, so we don't manage cash under our platform, and that's for security basis. And this is the only options that we have offering right now for payments. Well, a couple things that maybe we can do here, and I can mention in this area, I guess, is we offer a Petty Cash card that you can use for payments, for small payments that you might have during the month. And then this card, every month we send a report, and then you send back all your receipts. So that way it can help you guys, and in administrative time, it will be easier for you to manage that as well if you have that option as well. Then we have our annual audits. Our organization, as the full organization, TAPAZ is every year we receive auditors here to work in our internal controls, in our financials, and then that way every year they can expedite a document that shows that we're in a good standing for that. Also, as TAPAZ is an applicant for federal grants, we also been audited in a single audit. What that means that the auditors, they pick a federal grant, and then once they have that selection, they evaluate the management of this grant, and they also report based on federal rules. So that way we can have 2 audit documents in case any grantor or potential partner wanted to ask about our legal status in these areas. So TAPAZ is covered with that, and that can help you guys to use this document as an backup documents for applications. That's the accounting portion. I guess Kel's questions might be at the end, right? Okay. So the second bucket is human resources. We also provide a service of payroll. So if any of your employees or personnel that is working with your organization wanted to become a W-2 employee under TAPAZ, then you have this option. We provide a service of semi-monthly payroll process, and all these employees or personnel, they are going to become a TAPAZ employees under our umbrella. Okay. We're required to have from them or from your organization, if you have these employees with us, the time and effort. But that means that every time that you submit your payroll request, it's going to be with time and effort tracking. Hours work for this employee and what these employees did in the past 15 days. So that way we are going to track that. But also this time and effort tracking is going to help us if your organization apply for a grant and you being granted. Then in the time and effort tracking, we are going to add a column with the grant information. So that way you can track hours as well that this person is working in the specific grant. Sometimes people or employees might work half time in a grant and half time in another contract that might have and in the same organization. So you can split hours and then you can show that. At the end, we can claim these hours to the grantor, right? These employees also, they are going to have the opportunity, if they are a full-time employee, to receive the benefit of health insurance, so medical benefits. Those medical benefits, you also as an organization, you can offer this to your employees. And that way they can pick from 4 different plans that we have. And, also they can be individual or they can be a family, depends on their preference, right? Along with the health and medical benefits, there are other like a vision, dental, pets, legal, and life insurance as well. Part of this, like I mentioned, is only for full-time employees. If they're part-time employees, they are not able to be part of the medical benefits. All the employees, once the time is allowing, they can join the 403(b) retirement plan. This plan is for people that they work in our organization and they wanted to make savings for their retirement. So this is 100% volunteer, and they can, save, an amount of money that is allowed per the IRS rules every year, so that way they can, make a little bit tax savings there, and they can plan for their retirement. And this is also part of the package of the human resources. Every year, these employees, they are going to receive their W-2 report. So at the beginning of the year, every year in January, we release all the package of W-2 reports so they can claim or they can do their taxes annually. So that means that all the income that they earn during the year as an employee, they are going to receive that document. Yeah. Also, we process payments for contractors as well. Those contractors are 1099 in that bucket. That those are meaning, organizations or persons that they provide a specific service for your organization, and then but they are not part of as an employee that works for you. So you can have this opportunity to hire these persons or companies, and every year also we are going to send them the 1099 report, which you don't need to track those expenses and you don't need to worry about that. So we take care of that. So that's in the bucket of the human resources. I want to talk about now operations and capacity building. This is a very I like this bucket because I feel that this is an opportunity for the organizations to, think about how they can make a little bit revenue for your programs. And one of the ways that they can make revenue is with grants. So grants are an important component for nonprofits. And TAPAZ has a dedicated person that is working in this area. So grant support, as I mentioned, we have a dedicated person. This person is focusing knowing your organization, what you are doing, what are your programs, how can you guys, be able to look in and search for grant opportunities outside, in the federal part or state and municipal areas. There is a lot of grants outside, and sometimes organizations that they're brand new, they don't know where to go or where to find these opportunities. So we have in-house a person that is dedicated 100% of that. And this person is going to help and support you, guide you all the way through finding a grant and to submit a grant. I wanted to just to clarify that we don't offer grant writing services. So, but we have, we can say, stipend for organizations. So we can pay a grant writer to support you to make an application. So that's the grant support. Along with the grant support, there is some grants that they are cost reimbursement. So you might see these grants outside and see, and you can think about, oh, I can apply for this grant, but we don't have the cash flow or we don't have the capacity to front the money. So TAPAZ as an organization, once we have an award letter, we can do the working capital. So that means that this benefit is gonna help you guys. We are going to front the money, for your organization to start doing the services, and you don't need to, wait for money or things like that. So we take care of the reimbursement from the grantor, so you can start the first day working with your programs, and you don't need to worry about the financing or how you are going to make this money, for the next payroll, for the month, and in maintenance and things like that that you used to have, right? So in this benefit, we don't charge fees, we don't charge interest. So it's 100% part of the package. So there's no fees and like I said, other expenses allowed to this one. And tracking and reporting by grant program. So we are able to track if you have multiple grants. Our system is able to track, individually. So that way you can have a clean reports on your finances as expenses you are making in each of the grants. So you don't need to worry about that. We create the templates that you are going to use during these grants. So that way, every time that you submit a report, it's going to be with the correct information assigned to the grant. In this also creating capacity building, TAPAZ was thinking about organizations that they don't have like an annual campaign of donations. And then we realized this that organizations they didn't have this, in their resources for streaming for revenue. So we include this as part of the intake. So every organization is going to have an annual campaign open for your project with a fundraiser platform, which is a fundraising, um, I can say, software that allows you to, go out and, you can share the link and say, hey, you can donate to my organization through this, uh, you know, link, things like that. And this is going to help you guys to, again, add another layer of revenue, which is you can have grants, but now you also can have fundraiser campaigns. As part of also operations, we realize that there are organizations that sometimes they don't have the capacity to pay insurance for general liability, which is part of our package in the full comprehensive type of fiscal sponsor. So your organization is going to be under our general liability insurance. You don't need to cover that as part of our program. So we are going to be covering that. The only thing that we right now we are seeing more and more a lot of things that is happening about AI, about fraud. Uh, we don't cover cybersecurity in terms of insurance. So that way, if your organization needs a cybersecurity uh, coverage, you need to pay by yourself that. There are other organizations that they are very specific areas that they are working. Can be in the health, or can be in healing, or can be assistance. But if your organization is focusing, for example, youth or older people, then you might need to have the sexual abuse and molestation policy, which is part of also insurance, and that also is not included in the package. If you have, a board of directors or an advisory board, there's a couple things, a little bit different. Then there is another coverage that you might think about is directors and officers, which is another insurance coverage that we are not covering in this area. So those are, a couple limitations there, but it doesn't mean that you cannot make it, because we have a broker that is working with us. This broker knows very well about how nonprofits work, and also how a fiscal sponsor is working with this organization. So that way, you don't need to, go to different routes and try to find the way to get these insurance packages. So we can refer immediately to someone that is understand what we are doing. The last one is the stewardship. So also TAPAZ provides communication support. What does that means, communication support? So we don't have a dedicated person, but we have another director that works for Vitalist Health Foundation that if he has the time to support, he can review communications that you want to extend to the community before you release it. So that way we can have a consistent way to communicate outside through the community with our all programs we have. So we have technical assistant workshops. During the year, we have different workshops that with different topics that you can attend as an organization. Most of them, I can say 95% are free, so you can go and attend, but sometimes there's others that we can maybe stipend amount to your organization to attend those. So, but yeah, that's something that we can communicate and ask if you're willing to do these things. Networking, um, your organization is going to be also be part of 78 organizations that we have in our platform. That's a very good way that you can start networking or having conversations and about what you are doing and maybe share experiences, share programs. That's something that you can do with 78 organizations we have under our platform. You are going to have access to the organization name, and you can also have access to the main contacts. So we can also do an email introduction, but also during the year we have different events that we invite our groups to join us, so that way you guys can have an in-person relation, right? So that's part of the program as well. Project check-ins and site visits, that's part of our regular communications that we have with groups. So we do check-ins every, quarter at least, and we'll try to do a site visits every year, depends on where you are located. You also want to be receiving newsletter, the TAPAZ newsletter, and also the Vitalis Health Foundation newsletter in this package. As part of that, you are going to receive every month, kind of information that we release, and so you can know us a little bit more, and you can know more what we are doing and who are, collaborating with us as well. So those are the 4 buckets that we have for services. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have 3 different levels of support that we provide. The first one is comprehensive or full fiscal sponsorship. This is really the most like traditional model of fiscal sponsorship, where again the program or the project becomes a program under TAPAZ. So we have the legal and fiduciary responsibility for employees, activities. On paper, that project no longer exists as its own entity. It is part of TAPAZ. So this is a really good model for unincorporated groups, coalitions, alliances, maybe a group that's incorporated as an Arizona nonprofit, but not incorporated yet with the IRS as a 501(c)(3). It allows groups like this to go ahead and engage in mission-based work, receive tax-deductible donations, apply for grant opportunities without having to build out a separate entity and structure. Our second level of support, and under comprehensive, all of the services that Juan just walked through are available for projects under that comprehensive fiscal sponsorship level. For grant-specific support, this is where we're providing support to an entity, but it's really around a specific grant opportunity or contract. So as opposed to providing support for the entirety of a project's programming, it's really only related to a particular grant. So this is for an entity that is its own incorporated legal entity, typically for 501(c)(3)s, but we've also done it with groups that are maybe LLC structure as well. So we are providing administrative support exclusively for a particular grant. If the grant is approved, TAPAZ is then providing the fiscal sponsorship services for the operations of that grant. So we are managing the funds. That's when the working capital piece could come in for a reimbursement model grant. We're doing the financial reporting. The organization is responsible for the programmatic reports, but we're managing the grant funds for that entity. The last level of support is fiscal agency. So this is really where we are doing bookkeeping for the organization. That organization needs to be a 501(c)(3), have a really solid accounting structure in place, policies, procedures, a dedicated financial staff, a board of directors, and we are, again, just providing those bookkeeping services for the organization. So that's the lowest level of support that we provide. The administrative costs for comprehensive and grant-specific fiscal sponsorship, the costs are the same. So it's 7% of general funds received. If it's a federal grant or contract, then the fee increases to 10%. There is an annual 350 minimum fee that's due upon signing the fiscal sponsorship agreement that then serves as a credit in the organization's account, but that is invoiced annually each year. The fiscal agency administrative costs are a little bit less, so 6% of general funds received and 9% of federal funds. There's an annual $1,000 minimum dollar fee for that level of support. The fundraising platform fees range. So that's for groups that are utilizing fundraiser. The platform fees range from 1% to 5%, depending on the donation page type that the organization is using. And then there are transaction or bank fees as well, about 5% per transaction. Juan, I'll let you touch on the human resources costs.
Right, thank you. Yeah, for payroll processing, we charge the 2% of the gross amount of pay per employee. So that's for processing all the, the taxes and all the reports and, being in compliance with the handbook that they are going to receive through TAPAZ. And health insurance, as I mentioned previously, the cost is going to cover by the employer or the employee, depending on the project. We offer 4 different plans, 2 PPO and 2 HSA plans, and then also dental and vision plans as well. All right. As part of this fee, they are going to be part of the 403(b) retirement plan. It's a volunteer. We don't match. So TAPAZ is not doing, matching for any capacity that they wanted to save there. And they are going to receive also $10,000 in life insurance, and that's part of the 2% of the gross amount paid. So they don't need to pay for that. This is part of the payroll services. And of course, for example, for the maybe the administrator or the executive director of the organization, if they need any capacity, like assistance in human resources, like how are we going to do this, or how can we, make this easier. So this is also part of the services that we provide. Like, for example, if something happened with an employee, like an accident, so this employee has a coverage, a worker compensation coverage there, right? So we work with the organization to have all the documents and legal assistance, so that way the employee can be covered. So all the aspects of the human resources, this is included with this fee.
So for our program criteria, what we're typically looking for a project is the project must be meeting the IRS criteria for conducting charitable work. The work needs to be based in Arizona, with at least 50% of the work serving Arizonans, although our committee is typically looking for the majority of the work to be serving Arizonans. So sometimes projects might have work outside of the state, but really we're focused on serving Arizona. The work needs to be aligned with the elements of a healthy community wheel, which is basically social determinants of health, broadly providing health-related services or education. The entity needs to have at least 3 members of an advisory board or board of directors, not inclusive of the executive director. Have a minimum existing annual revenue of $25,000 or provide a 3-year prospective budget that demonstrates the ability to get to $25,000. And if the entity is currently reporting no revenue, have a minimum of $5,000 in committed funding. So that could be through committed donors who are ready to make a donation, but obviously are just waiting for the tax exempt status of their fiscal sponsor, or have identified grant opportunities that they believe they'll qualify for that are a minimum of $5,000. Have at least one dedicated staff member. This person can be paid or unpaid that is working on the project. Really, we just want to see that there is someone who's dedicated to moving this work forward and committed to seeing the project be a success. Be familiar with the different types of fiscal sponsorship, although we're also happy to meet and kind of like walk folks through the levels of support again and help identify which is going to meet their needs. And then the project cannot be doing lobbying, either grassroots or direct lobbying efforts under TAPAZ. Nonprofits are allowed to lobby. We just don't have the capacity to do the tracking that that would require. So our projects are not allowed to be involved in lobbying efforts. If this criteria isn't met, then again, we're happy to meet, kind of talk through which criteria has been met, or is it because of the work that it's not a good fit, or maybe it's just like a not yet, and how can we get you to the point where you're ready to work with TAPAZ. If the criteria is met and you're ready to begin an application, the first step is to complete an interest form where there's a link on the website. We then do a consultation call, so we'll meet one-on-one and kind of talk through the work that you're doing, explain or answer any questions you might have about our services. If that meeting, after that meeting, it feels like this, can move forward to the application process, then we have a formal application that the prospective partner needs to complete. We do a team review. If there are any questions, we'll follow up with the applicants. And then if the team, if our internal TAPAZ team believes that it's a good fit for our program, we'd like to make a recommendation to move forward. Then ultimately, our fiscal sponsorship committee of our board of directors has to review and approve any application before coming into our program. The fiscal sponsorship committee meets on a quarterly basis. So those meetings are in August, November, February, and May. And those dates are on the website along with deadlines for applications that are being submitted for consideration for each of those dates. And then if approved, we begin the onboarding and orientation process and can start receiving funds for the project once a fiscal sponsorship agreement has been signed. So that brings us to the end.